Come take a look through the orange lens, my friends. How you doing, folks? Use the force, but balance it, right? There is good and bad. There is light and dark within each of us. Doesn't mean we're bad. Doesn't mean we're good. We've all got the capacity for all of it, right? So let's learn to fucking train it. Let's learn to control these urges and these things that people tell us are human nature, right? Human nature has a subtitle saying nothing you can do about it. Fuck that. You know? I'm not about finding excuses. I'm about finding solutions. Even when times are hard, you know? So I got some notes. I don't know if I need to look at them. It's just in case a sidetrack just to pull me back. Went for my walk this morning, and to anyone who's been watching the skies, they would know that a few years back, the plain trails that stayed and spreaded started appearing earlier in the day, and then quite often the smog that they leave will kind of in a way trace the sun, it looks like, which is rather strange. But it looks beautiful out. I love nature. I love being outside, right? I love going by the sea. I love going up on the downs. I love it. But I don't like to ignore things. And sure, you look up, it looks beautiful blue, but like a lot of the time, if you just bring your angle slightly down, not to the horizon but up a bit, and you'll see the very thin layer of what looks like some very faint, almost transparent fog. And the last few days it's been particularly bad, and I don't know, there's certain natural weather movements, right, that brings the fog off of the sea and all of that, but I'm used to seeing that, and what I've seen the last few days isn't that, I don't believe, because it's conducive with what's above, and you can't see the wind farm when it's really bad. You can see the fucking air quality. It's shockingly bad. And I'm not one that wants to fearmonger. I'm just like, look, there are things we need to be aware of. Surely, I just can't ignore it. Anyway, so at my walk spot this morning, I got there and there was a whole load of travellers there. And that's mainly what I wanted to talk about. Because, a few years ago, I'd have walked up, seen them travellers, and instantly sort of been seeing mess and judging and being, as opposed to having compassion for their situation first, I would have had judgment first. But it was just very nice this morning, the fact that when I walked up and I saw them, I was very aware that the first thing I did was thought, oh mate, them poor fuckers. That was my first reaction this morning. I was really pleased about it because, and I think it's one of them narratives, right? It's one of them, like, who are travellers, right? And like every group that gets labelled, they're not all the same, are they? To the point where you've got, what I'd have called travellers as a youngster, which is like people with, vans and caravans. To new age travellers, which tend to be, motorhomes, to all sorts, right? Old school travellers that travel with the horse and trap, right? They're still about. And why are they? Who are they? What is the history? Now, I don't know enough at this moment in time to go into a history lesson about the travellers. But I, in one sense, have had this very slight resonance to that way of life. In the village I grew up in, there was a travelling fair that always used to go around, the Harris Fair. It would have been known across many parts of the country, and my auntie actually, I think she was dating one of them for a while, and I think she actually went off with them for a season or two or something. But I think they gave me this first insight as to, there's like this, there is not just this, like this 9 to 5, this rat race, this government and domination and war. There's still people that live free. Well, how free are they? I mean, it's tricky. But at least I now know how travellers have vehicles and drive around. Because actually, according to the laws and the right to travel, the only time you've got to get involved in all the insurance and all of the MOT and all of that stuff is when you sign your driving licence, right? Signing that you agree to all the rules and the regulations. When you have possibly a birth certificate and a passport, you have to abide by these. I could probably do a bit more research. It's been years since I looked into the free man movement. I was very interested in it a few years back because, you know, I'm looking for solutions. I'm looking for alternatives, you know, and so I look everywhere I possibly can. And one of the things that I think made me feel such compassion for the travelling community at the moment is that if there's one thing I've noticed through COVID is the fact that the UK government are trying to, and I don't know if they have because I haven't been keeping my eye on that particular ball for the last couple of weeks, but last I heard, the government within the COVID, what do they call it, right? The COVID Act, right? All the subheadings in it. And within that is giving the police more power to forcibly move travellers, which I understand that there are some people out in the world that are less favourable, and some of them are travellers. Some of them are super messy and dishonest. But then saying that every traveller is super messy and dishonest is like saying every person that lives in a house votes for the government and agrees with them. Like, I don't even believe, from what I was looking at the other week, it's not even half the population that vote. They have a minor power hold because most of us are letting them. So, change is worth it. There's many reasons, not conspiracy theories, as someone so beautifully said to me this morning. Fuck off with your conspiracy theories, John. I didn't even say a conspiracy theory. This lad I know had posted about the whole football fiasco in Europe with this whole Super League stuff, and he was really upset about it and having a rant. And I said, well, I hope that, you know, this opens up the eyes to more people for this same thing that's been happening on a wider scale. You know, economical, political, corporate infiltration, basically. Didn't say the infiltration word, but I said political, corporate, financial, whatever, right? And he, oh, fucking hell, keep your fucking conspiracy theories. And it's like, right, it's happening right in front of you, so enjoy your little football fiasco, you know? Like, I know there's some people that are die-hard football fans, and I'm really happy you enjoy it like that. I don't care. Cool, football's a cool game, and you know, you can say that it's good for many things, and sure it is. But as soon as anything gets corporatized, it gets bastardized. That's not really much of a nice word, actually. I used that word in another video and I didn't like it when I heard it. Let's retract that word. Bastard, you know, someone who's born without a father and a mother, just to a single parent. I mean, are children getting loved? That's the main thing. You know, and let's not sidetrack too much, just because I'm using a word I don't want to. So I'm going to try not to let that one come out next time. But once we get this corporate infiltration, I said something the other day, and I wasn't sure after I'd said it, but I felt it, and so I'll let these things out. I said communities should have corporation, but corporations shouldn't have community. Now, after I posted that video, and that sort of sentence hit me a couple of times, because if we wanted to be picky about that, I would actually then go a little bit deeper and say, well, of course, corporation should have a community element to it. I think everything should. But a corporation shouldn't own a community, because then that community is a commodity, because it's a business overseeing it. And when you commodify human community, well, we live in it, right? So, like, there's some very interesting people that speak in the Bitcoin world, and they get philosophical, and they get deep, and they you know, they're interested in the workings of the mind and how things can lead us. And so I'm very, very keen not to see repetitive, unnecessary hierarchy, repetitive, unnecessary male dominance, repetitive, unnecessary gender dominance of any description. I don't give a fuck if you're a man or a woman. None of us should be dominating each other. Mutual respect, you know, the whole video I made yesterday, mutual respect is about that. But the travelling community are being even more persecuted by the government and their fucking criminal laws. These people do not have our best interests at heart, and they're attacking everyone. I want to look into the history of the travellers, because to me it feels like they're the ones that said, fuck no, we're not joining your shitty society. We're all right, thank you. We're going to carry on living off the land and roaming and being free, thank you. But no thank you. You know, and here we are in the empire, the leftovers of it, right? And I have no, like, feelings of grandeur. When I say that, I'm taking a stab. When I talk about empires, I don't like empires. See, if I'm calling something an empire, really, it's not a compliment. At all. Not at all. But the empire was the structure. The American empire is the structure. How they use their army, right? How they govern their people, right? You know? Man, I used to romanticise about America. I'd have loved to have lived there. It felt like there was a different level of freedom, you know? And then I grew up, and then I started getting informed, and then I started seeing the corruption there, and I was like, oh, shit. It's the same as here. It's just they've got some newer systems, because the empires that went in to build that empire utilised all their learning and knowledge from how they guided and crafted their people, and they went ahead and tried some new ways and utilised some old ways. So I don't, you know, I'm not one for, like, it's one of the things I like about, you know, the whole Bitcoin, the whole cypherpunks is, like, there are no borders. It's a thesis, a philosophy, it's a way of being that just fucking resonates with me. Always has. So when we see travellers, do we want to just pass loads of judgment over them? Or do we want to look at ourselves like I did and go, shit, what's making me do this judgment? What's making me be like this? Is this just natural? You know? And more often than not, no. Half of it isn't. You know, it's natural feelings and natural senses that have been played on and heightened. And so therefore we see these things, and the threat aspect, the threat senses, like, come up even more, because we've been bombarded with all these barbarians that are outside of the empire, right? You know, it's not cool. You know, there's still a part of me that, like, has some, like, I'd love to just go to Africa, right? And then there's a bit of me that gets all scared about fucking how I'd get treated, right? Because understandably, you think, fucking hell, and you know, I've sort of heard some stories over my life and not heard others, and plenty of people of all skin colours that go all around the world. But what I'm saying is that within us, there are things that have been subtly taught that give you these threat warnings that are unnecessary. We've got to go. Use force, positive mental attitude, be calm in your thoughts to yourselves like you would brothers, keep loving your hearts for yourselves like you would brothers, and let's get it. Get what, John? Awareness, course, peace in.